Someone asked me what would happen if the Empire invaded the Monsterverse Earth. It got me thinking about what would happen to the Earth and all of the Titans. I think it would be a very interesting story that would involve the balance of nature and the dark side of the Empire. So, what would happen if the Empire invaded the Titans' Earth? Titans would sense the presence of the dark side, a foreign energy that would upset the balance of the Earth. The Titans would rise in mass confusion, and the Destroyer Titans would begin to destroy cities. Godzilla would investigate to try to restore the balance. Skullcrawlers would begin to rise once again in hordes, forcing King Kong to fight a massive Skullcrawler army. Godzilla would eventually figure out the cause of the shift in balance, and begin a long war with the Empire. The Empire's armies would prove little match against Godzilla, but their navy might stand a chance, as Godzilla would have a harder time attacking them. He might be able to with his atomic breath. The Empire would launch an orbital bombardment on Godzilla, who would survive but be seriously injured. Godzilla would retreat to recharge for several years. In the meantime, the Empire would hunt down the Titans, and the last remaining ones would be Godzilla, Mothra, Rodan, who would attack the Star Destroyers more effectively due to his flight ability, and Kong, who would be able to evade bombardment with his agility. Godzilla would return after the Empire's invasion was complete. The Star Destroyers would have left Earth in search of other worlds in our galaxy to conquer, or to return to the main fleet to aid in the fight against the rebellion. Godzilla would rampage against the Imperial troops on Earth, and eventually word of this monster would reach the ears of the Emperor, who would want to capture it for use as a war beast, or even as a clone template, like he tried to do to the Zillo beast. Each attempt at capture would fail, and eventually the Emperor would send Darth Vader to oversee the project. It would not be long before Darth Vader realizes that Godzilla and the other Titans are more than mere beasts, and that they are intelligent and capable of communication with humans and other sentients. Darth Vader would then try to communicate with Godzilla, trying to convince him to join the Empire and the dark side. When this fails, Darth Vader would try to take over its mind. This would also fail, and Godzilla would attack Darth Vader. An epic duel would ensue, Darth Vader using his supreme command of the Force, and Godzilla using his brute strength, atomic breath, and all of his other attacks. Godzilla would just barely manage to chase Vader away, but not before Vader was able to get a sample of Godzilla's blood for cloning uses. The Empire would eventually retreat from Earth, realizing that it was more trouble than the planet was worth, especially since they had already managed to build Imperial bases on the Moon, Venus, Mars, and hundreds of other planets on our galaxy, from which they could launch their fleet to their expansion project into our galaxy. Meanwhile, experimentation would begin on cloning a dark side version of Godzilla, one even more powerful than the original. This experimentation would result in Space Godzilla, an evil titan more powerful than Godzilla himself. They would use Space Godzilla to launch another assault on the Titans on Earth. Space Godzilla would defeat Godzilla, but Godzilla would band together with the last remaining Titans on Earth to attempt to defeat this monster. Many monsters would die in this battle, including Rodan and Mothra, but in the end they would manage to defeat Space Godzilla, killing him and ending the Empire's reign of terror on Earth once and for all. Humanity would rebuild their civilization, and even reverse engineer the Empire's technology left over from the invasion, making them better equipped to deal with another Imperial invasion if it ever happens. Godzilla and King Kong would return to the Hollow Earth, the last of the Titans. This is what I think would happen if the Empire invaded the Monsterverse Earth. If you liked this video, then please click that like button, comment, and subscribe to JPZilla.